forward, put you on, and then I'm gonna jump in there then.
Okay.
So then I'll pull that for her, and then I have to get her a transparent version of your headshot too. So I'll get you guys started, and then I'll do that, and then we'll go to the races.
I was hoping to see more human people, but we've got a few people in here. Hi, guys.
Morning.
Morning, we're human.
Final walkthrough. Congress.
All right, Congress. Woo-hoo.
They're on their way to Stein.
All right, hi, everybody. Let me see this.
Morning, morning.
All right, you've got our people making, we are paying attention to the attendance, so thank you all for being here. Can you guys make this smaller? How do I make this smaller again?
Good morning.
Is it up there?
Yeah.
Drag it the same way.
I think I dragged it. There. Okay. So I'm gonna be kind of quick in the beginning so that we can get to the stuff that when you're in the house. But the important part of what we're gonna do today is the why, how to prepare, advertise, arrival, and attitude. So a lot of you have seen this before, but it's just a reiteration, just a reminder that a lot of us rush, to get to our open houses, and the whys behind the open house are obvious: to sell a house and to satisfy the sellers, to educate the buyers and earn their trust. Remember, every moment you're in this open house, it's like you're in your showroom and you're on stage, your own authentic stage though. So you're there to educate them, whether they're working with someone or not. You want to earn their trust, because if they buy that house and they're represented by someone, you want them to like you, you want them to trust you. And if you're a lot of people, you go to an open house and they're like, oh, you're represented, all right, and they don't care about them anymore because they're not going to make any money. So even if you're not representing that house, it's still really important for them to earn your trust, because you never know. A lot of them say they're working with someone and then they switch. I can't tell you how many people have told me they're working with someone and ended up using me. And to cross-market our property. So listen and say, oh, have you thought about such and such a property? Oh, we have a matchmaking program, and we have another property like this. If this one doesn't, if this number one is to sell that house, but if you also want to cross-market our other properties. To meet and impress future sellers. Remember, every single one of these people, even if they're representing a buyer, they might use you as a selling agent. Because if they really are impressed with what you're doing, they're not going to use their buyer's agent. They're going to use you. And then they might get rid of their buyer's agent altogether. And to network and get personal exposure. All pretty obvious. Okay, there is a checklist for the open house that I kind of want to go through again because it's pretty old, but it's still pretty relevant. Very relevant. So see the checklist, it's important. I'm not going to go through every single one, but we're going to kind of go through it anyway. Confer with the listing agent. I don't know, people have done a lot of open houses for me, and I don't remember getting phone calls saying, tell me the 3 most important things about the house. Doesn't happen. How are you going to impress this buyer if you don't know the stuff like, where's the septic? Oh, is there gas in the street? Oh, is there room for a pool? And if you're like, oh, yeah, it's gas. It's gas. I've done it. Believe me, I've done it. But we can't do that. We have to impress. You have like a millisecond in today's world to impress. So you have to do your homework before you go to an open house. So the important facts of the home, neighborhood information. Just have a 15-minute conversation with the agent. Tell me about the neighborhood. Tell me about the kid. Are there kids on the street? When you're getting a new listing, ask those kinds of questions. Is it a family-friendly street? Are there lots of kids? Some people will put together a whole list of there's 12 10-year-olds and 6 5-year-olds, and you never want to say it's a family-friendly street. Like the audience, like if it's an older couple and there's lots of kids, you can say this is a very eclectic street. There's a mix of young and old. It's wonderful and blah blah blah. So recent sales of actives in the area, and know the story of the home and a bit about the sellers. So know what the seller, they're going to say, why are the sellers moving? They always ask. Understand that story. And if you read the brochure, you have to read the brochure. You have to, and most people don't. Read it from beginning to end. Read the top 10, read the interview with the owner, because then those words are gonna come out of your mouth. Oh yeah, the owners love this. They would love doing this. They're so sad that they have to go move to Florida, but this room was so important to them because of the view of blah, 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 blah. Emotion is what sells houses, and storytelling is what creates emotion. And if you can't make up the stories, they have to be real. So this is such an important part that I know we're missing. I know we are, because people do my own open houses and I know they're not asking these questions. So I would say, so I haven't done this in a while, but I usually know the market really well for the houses that I serve. But if you're doing an open house for somebody and you're not familiar with that market, you do a mini CMA. I'm not going to go into how to do a mini CMA right now, but that's something I can show you. You're just like, you know what it is. It's just a little mini CMA. And I bring all the actives, and I'll either do a gallery if there's a lot of them with nine pictures of the houses, or I'll just, if there's a few, I'll print out, but never print the agent one. You can have an agent one for you, but you might even want to say, oh, if after you get feedback, they don't like something, you can say, why don't you drive by Smith Street? Because I'm off at 4. I think that one might work for you. Take a look at it, or pull it up on your phone, and if you want to see it, I'm happy to show you. But if you don't know what's out there, you're not going to know. So you have to know the inventory, particularly in that area, but definitely in that price point. So even if it's like pull the price point and then just pull the area. So, and I would prepare the thank you email. If you know you're doing an open house, prepare the email before. And we're going to talk about this and having them prepared so that there's a template in there. There's already a template, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay, because one of the biggest things that agents aren't doing, and I know they're not, because I can see in Follow Up Boss that they're not emailing the thank you with the link to everything. Some of you are, but a lot of you aren't. So if you do it Sunday, imagine, put yourself in the shoes of the buyers that are coming to an open house. Imagine if you go to an open house and you see 6 houses and you're running around and you're tired and you have all this paperwork, and then you get home that night and you pull it up and you're the only one that not only sent them a thank you, but you sent them a link to the virtual tour, a link to the brochure, a link to the website, and a thank you. They're much more likely to be like, oh my God, this is the one, you know what I mean? So really, really important to send the thank you as soon as possible, preferably Sunday night, if not Monday morning before you come to the meeting with bright eyes and bushy tails.
Back up to the camera.
This one?
Yeah.
Ah, sorry. Okay. All right. So advertising your open house, social media. Val and Grace may not receive all information till the end of the week, but if you are aware you are hosting one early in the week, promote it. Just start promoting it. Use stories on social media. Val does like the open houses so that it gets open house, like, so that's all of them. So you can go to the house and say, hey, I'm so excited that I'm going to be doing this open house this Sunday, meet me, and then doing whatever. And you could do that early in the week. You could just start posting pictures of it on a carousel with pictures saying you're doing one. When you're at the open house, take a photo and video at the open house, putting out signs or a picture of the house with Q&A stickers or favorite features of the house. There's plenty of things you can get creative about. You can ChatGPT and say, hey, I have a house in this area, and give you 5 best social media. It's amazing if you go to ChatGPT or actually maybe I'll talk to Val about the best ones to use, but they'll give you the posts. They'll tell you exactly what to do. Instagram, Facebook. I used to do live videos. I haven't in a while, but I'll start again. Live video, Facebook. If you don't know how to do it, we can have a little thing on it. You just push live and you say, hey, I'm at the open house. The one thing about live, oh, you can. With live videos, you can use the little, it turns. When you know how when you're videotaping, you can't turn it? while you're in the middle of a regular video. Like you can't talk and then swap to go this way when you're just videotaping. But when you're on live, you can. And it looks like the little, how you flip the phone. So you would just say, hey, Carmen here, I'm over at 123 Smith Street doing an open house. Click, switch it, you gotta check it out, and whatever. All right, and it's okay if you screw up. It's live, you don't have to share it. But statistically, it's proven that if it looks too canned, it's not watched as much. If it looks fun, like Val does this, like makes it fun. She looks real. She's not, hello, this is Fairfield, and we're here over at A&S, and we're doing, I mean, she's running, she's funny, she's just be natural.
I
And
like
just,
that when you were running by the beach. You're like, I'm going
Oh,
to
yeah.
I'm going Bridget.
Oh, yeah. So just play with it. And signs, as many as possible. As many as possible. It gets your name out there. It gets people who weren't thinking of doing an open house. It gets just the branding out there. So there should never be a sign in your trunk. There should always, and don't have 3 in front of the house. I've gone there and I've been like, you're too freaking lazy to take it somewhere else. So you're taking it out of your car and you're putting it there. And if you're doing 2 in front of the house, never put 1 on each side of the driveway. That's kind of ridiculous. But 1 across the street and 1 in front, so you can see it from either way. And on a busy street, I'll put 2. The place I'll put 2 is like 1 on 1 corner and 1 on the other. Not like this, but like across the busy road. Also, did we ever find the Tuesday, Sunday to 2 to 4, the sides?
It's up there.
Oh, it is?
I've had it.
Oh, thank you. She's gonna get it for us. Because what we've stopped doing, and we will order more, and I think you guys should order some with your names on it, because you want to brand your name. So it would have Lorelei, the logo, open house,
Yes, there's
Sunday
something
1
else.
to 4. So we can use those, but put those out on Thursday. And this is going to impress your sellers, because nobody does this. And when people are driving home from work, and they see a sign in an area that they like, they might be curious. And they're like, oh, I wonder where that is. They'll either follow the sign or they'll look it up. So it's a good way to differentiate us, get our branding out, and get more people, more traffic. And remember, if you're doing an open house for someone else or for yourself, the more traffic you get, the better, right? Because those are your buyers that you're impressing. So signs are really important. The other thing, okay, arriving. The other thing that we'll probably get to though, that some of you do and some of you don't. And if you don't do it, someone should do it for you and get the leads themselves. Because this is just the invitation to the open house. It's a door hanger. I mean, it's cut in half. And it has your face, it has everything on it. And you bring it and you walk the property and you knock on the door. And if they're not there, you can put it in a little sleeve and you can hang it on the door. And it's important.
Can I say what I do?
Yes.
I do a 1-page, Grace has a template for me where it's just a 1-page thing, and I walk around the neighborhood and I put it face in, so when they open the door, they're looking at it, I just put it on their mat, it gets wet or well, can't put it in their mailboxes, and I throw away the stuff that's like in a little sleevey thing. So I'm trying to just, before they can say no, they're already seeing it. And you've probably done this too, like, I get so many neighbors just because of them seeing that. And I do it the day before, a couple hours. I just do whatever I can, even if it's just on the street, because I've got listings that way too. I try to do 50.
That's a lot, but it's really,
It goes so quick though.
she's crushing it for a reason. Because she does these things and she makes that extra effort of, there's so many things calling expireds and stuff like that, but we're not.
But if anybody ever wants to do that with me, like in your neighborhood, that's the one house I didn't do that for. Because I just didn't have time, forgot, it was just like, and I could have just been like, here you go, and you know what I mean? Then you do the open house, you get half the leads, like.
So just drop them off at
On their front door. That neighbor, and right around the list.
Yeah, like.
I'm inviting the neighbors.
The screen. And if they answer, but you want to have face-to-face, and you want to talk to them about the open house and say, neighbors, oh, we're not looking, but if you're interested, a lot of neighbors sell neighborhoods. We'd love for you to see the property in case you know anybody and you get them there. Gets more traffic, it gets more people talking. And the agents, the sellers sometimes don't like nosy neighbors coming to their house, so you have to explain to the sellers that neighbors sell neighborhoods.
The story I tell is on Wheeler Park, where you have that little tiny little listing on the corner in Fairfield. And this family was just walking by, strolling. She's like, oh, I'm just gonna run in and see this house. They owned a house down the road. They ended up buying that house. Can you sell our house for us? They weren't even planning on buying. They bought 2 years ago. They just wanted a different layout.
Yeah.
And they weren't
Exactly.
even looking in the market.
And that's a perfect story because a lot of people love their neighborhood, but they would move if they found a better house in it. They're not going anywhere and they can avoid a renovation and all of that. So it's a huge, huge part. And after, which we're not getting into, but accepted offer, you could do the same thing and say, hey, we've got so many buyers that missed out on this opportunity because of lack of demand, lack of supply and high demand that love this neighborhood. If you or anybody else you know in this neighborhood is thinking of selling, now would be the time to get a premium for your property. Because fear of loss is kicking in. People lost this one, they don't want to miss the next one. And they could very well be willing to dig a little deeper. So if you're interested in listing or in selling, you know the drill. So really important part of it. Why do I always open it and do this? Sorry, guys. Arriving at the open house, put out all the signs, be 10 minutes early at least. Don't walk in with food or drink, especially if you're late, which you will not be. But dress professionally. I put very, you know, I don't have to explain. Every light on. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to visit people on this screen and the upstairs lights were off. You know, it's not common, but just turn every single light on, unlock the doors and front door. I don't know why we put open, but some of them, just so you know, have a little lock on the inside. You guys know what I'm talking about? There's a little switch on the inside of the door. Not the storm door, the heavy door, like the old doors, this thing won't move unless this little button is pushed, and that keeps the door locked. And an agent didn't know that, and the door's locked, and she's like, why do people keep ringing the doorbell? I unlocked the top, but it's the bottom. So just check that. All right, choose your words carefully, do not judge. You never know who they are, or who they will become to you. This is just honestly the golden rule. I see it all the time. People are treated differently by the way they look, by the way they are, by the way, just don't. I mean, you have to be careful if someone comes in and you're nervous about if they can afford. But my story is, it was my first big listing, my very first big listing. It was a $1.6 million house, which was huge for me. This was 20 years ago. So it would have been like a $4 million house today. And this guy walked in and he came to a broker's open house. And so there was brokers there. And so he came in and he said he was a buyer. He said, oh, I'm just looking to buy. I'm not an agent. I said, well, I'll show you. So I'm showing him the house and people are there. And he had like on what are those t-shirts that guys wear? A white beater?
I was gonna let you say that.
And he was probably not a very politically correct word to use.
What's the better one? An undershirt?
Yeah.
Tank top? Tank top.
But white beater is a very
The white
specific thing.
rib.
Yeah.
Tight.
So anyway, he was driving this crappy car, but that's just kind of who I am anyway. But I didn't realize it. Like I didn't know that. That's actually a gift. I'm very grateful that I do that. So when he's walking through, I'm like, well, thank you. I got his information. He's like, yeah, I think I'm going to bring my wife. I really like it. And then he walks out, and Tom Fitzpatrick, I'll never forget. he's a top agent. And at the time, he was like, I was this big and he was this big. And he's like, Julie, let me give you a word of advice. That guy's never gonna buy. You just wasted your time and you don't even know him and blah, 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 blah. He bought the house. I was on both sides. So it taught me such a valuable lesson because society tells us not to behave that way. Don't go with your gut if your gut tells you not to do that. Go with the humanistic approach. Okay, because you never know. And it's the right thing to do. And even if they're not gonna buy that house, the fact that you treated them with the utmost respect in a big house that they probably knew they couldn't afford, people will come in and say, oh, I can't afford this when they come to an open house, because they did the sign. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. Come on in if you wanna get ideas. Like, I still embrace them, and other people would say, okay, might say, that's okay, walk through. But I spend time with them and find out what they want and see what their price, I mean, I know everybody in this room would do that too, but. Okay, once you get here, here's where we're gonna get a little deeper. Welcome them graciously, do not pounce, be gentle. Introduce yourself, say their name in your head 3 times, try to do that so you can remember it. There's nothing more melodic to a human being than hearing their name, or hearing the name of their kids is even more important. So if you hear their kids' names, use their kids'
Not yet, I don't think.
It's a really important thing that I forget because I'm really bad with names. So this is a good reminder for me. We should make them our name tags when they walk in because I'm so bad. I always get down on a knee if there's a kid in that, and I don't put my hand out anymore because of COVID and germs and all that. I used to like shake their hand, but 99% of the time I'll get down on a knee and I'll just say, oh, and tell me, like, oh, so like depending, it can't be forced and it has, but just remember to keep that at least at some point paying attention to the kids. We used to have crayons, and maybe we'll do that again, but we used to have little treats for the kids that until they got crayons all over the wall, we stopped giving it to them. Before the open house, we gave it to them when they left. But lots of, and even it might not be a bad idea to bring a couple puzzles because because the kids are running around like crazy, and if there's 2 people or 1 parent can sit with them for a little while. Do not ask if they're working with an agent. Let them tell you a bit before you get started. Do not follow them too closely. Oh, but before we get there. So, hi, welcome. Thanks so much for coming. I'm Julie.
Hi, I'm Krista.
Hi, come on. Thanks so much for coming. I will get started with the tour. Well, wait, hold on.
Are you from here?
Exactly. That's my first usual, but I don't want it like right when you're walking in. So come on in. Yeah, thank you so much for coming.
Wow, this place is great.
It's beautiful, yeah, and there's a lot to see. Before we get started,
Like really feel the house.
Before we get started, I'm just gonna tell you a few things about the house. I'll give you the tour, but it might get busy and I know you're gonna be wondering, so I don't want you to miss a few of these things. The septic is in the front, so there's plenty of room for a pool, and they just cleaned out the septic and it's in perfect condition, or I don't even know if I would say that, but the septic's in the front. The 3rd floor is not finished, but it's worth taking a walk up. It's a walk-up attic, and the ceiling is so high and there's plenty of natural light. So even though there's a lot of square footage, if you needed more, it's great finishable space for a gym or an office, and whatever else they tell you. Like, this is the points that you're gonna get from the agent. They just put in a brand new system in the blah, 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 blah. They just did new AC, or, and whatever about the house, not necessarily the neighborhood. All right, so, and are you from the area, or do you want me to tell you?
I'm from Fairfield.
Okay, and do you know much about Greenfield Hill, or do you want me to tell you a little bit about it?
Well, we're from the university area. We're considering moving up to Greenfield Hill for some more space.
Okay, well, great. Now I don't have to tell you about all the beautiful things of Fairfield, you already know. So so then you just get started with the tour. And you're not standing at the door having this conversation. You're kind of walking, and if they like, The shoes too, don't forget to bring the shoe things, because some people don't like to take their shoes off. So keep the shoe things, you just get a big, actually, I highly recommend everybody in this room go to Amazon and get one of the big oversized ones, because they're cheaper, and then just keep them in your car. And then you'll always have them. Because how many times have been like, oh, I don't have them, and they should be in your car. So let me tell you a little bit before you get started on the tour. Tell them the 3 things. Don't follow them too closely, but always be there. And I'll usually say, I'm gonna give you the tour, and then I'm gonna let you have some time on your own if you wanna wander. If it's a big house, like I wanna stay with them. If it's a smaller house, you don't wanna go in every room with them, because it's too small. So use your judgment, but you wanna be there to answer questions, and you wanna listen. You also wanna be somewhat invisible, because the best intel you will get from an open house is when they don't see you and they're talking to their partner. Do you think Johnny's bed would fit in here? I don't, my dining room, what are we gonna do with the dining room? I need to keep my dining room table. This is, so now you're learning about them, that they're saying things that they wouldn't say, they wouldn't, it's not that they wouldn't want you to hear it, but they wouldn't say it in front of you. So listening and asking them questions appropriately to learn about them. Make some notes if you need to, so you remember who they are. Not even if you need to. As soon as they leave, you turn over their sign-in sheet and you write your notes. Everything you can think of about them. And you wanna refer to that when you send them the thank you note. Honestly, these little tiny things, and we are gonna redesign these because I like the others so much better. But we're gonna get to the sign-in sheet when they sign in and how to get them to do that. So what are some of the questions you guys asked to get them talking? Like when you're walking through the house?
What brings you in today? Have you been looking for a while?
Yeah, good.
Are you married?
Yeah.
Are you single?
So some premier, that might even be a slide on it. Oh, are you from the area, or would you like me to tell you about Fairfield, or actually the neighborhood? Neighborhood is really important. Also, the kids will tell you a lot. Like I'll say, oh, where do you go to school? Yeah, I do.
You don't ask, do you have kids, but you ask the kids. questions.
Yes, the kids are there. I wouldn't ask the parent, do you have kids? And I've done, they'll end up telling you through that when you have this conversation. Have you been looking for a while, or are you just beginning? How did you hear about the open house? That's a good one, because if they just heard by the sign, they might not be even in the price line. They're just looking. Any other questions people have that they ask when they're walking through?
I usually ask them, when are they planning on making a move? Or, another question I usually ask them is, I have them written down. I ask them, yeah, when are they planning on making a move? And do you currently rent, or do you own, your property? To find out if they're, if they want to sell their property first before they buy.
Yeah. And I kind of get there further in. Like if you're saying, when are you gonna make your move? I would say that kind of towards the end if I said that, or I don't like to put and everybody's different. So there's no right or wrong. With me, I might be like, I might say the same question a little bit different, like, oh, are you planning to move soon, or are you just starting your search? Because then they're gonna answer like, when am I moving? I don't know, when I find the right house, you just don't know. They don't have a direct answer, but the point is very well taken, because it's important information. Marlene's absolutely right. You wanna know how serious they are in their search, but it's gotta be done in a way that makes it seem like, if you answer, oh, well, I'm not moving for a while.
We're not in a rush, that's what you get a lot.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they buy a house.
Yeah, so it's a question that you're not necessarily gonna get a truthful answer to because they don't even know. So, and if I said something like, well, if you found the right house today, would you be ready to buy? It sounds too salesy. So.
Julie, I put mine in the chat because my microphone's weird sometimes.
Okay, let's see, where's my little chat button?
The red.
Oh, there it is. The one that's glaring out at me. I learned it from someone else. Where are you on your real estate journey? I like that. Do you need to be in a particular school zone? That's a good one too.
I have a question about that though too, because there's redistricting too, right? So I feel like if someone's like, I need to be right here, and then they get redistricted, you're like, I didn't want to buy for that.
You don't know. I mean, unless you do know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I think it just happens.
Right, so you
Districts.
don't know.
Yeah.
My, right,
But if someone's like, I need to be
you don't want
in
them to
Howland
blame
Hill,
you.
right,
Right,
and then they get redistricted.
yeah, but you know.
Yeah.
Then you can sell their house again.
Yeah. We did that district.
We can answer.
Well, I
factual
worked out that
questions
way,
about
well, you know.
Which district is this in Holland Hill, yes or no? Not,
Is this a good?
which is a better
Which is
school,
better.
which is a better
Yeah.
school for, which has better services, we can't answer that.
Right.
Okay, well done. Good questions, Jack.
Yeah, Jack.
Create emotion. Tell little stories as you go. Whoops. Stories are our tools. So you want to create emotion and share your seller's story. Relate to them, pause to tell them the best location. Oh, so I call them pause points because I found that I was in the basement a lot when we were talking because it's done and you're down there and then they ask a question and then you're in the basement. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to be stuck talking in the worst part of the house. Yes, if you're talking about the systems, absolutely. But if all of a sudden you start talking because you started talking, you don't want to do it down there. So when you first get to a house, you're going to read the whole magazine. You're going to read the interview with the owner. So because, all right, this one. What made you fall in love with the home? The porch in the yard made us fall in love with the home. We love what we can let the kids run around in the yard and they're able to blah, 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 blah. So you're going to stop when you're in the kitchen and you're looking out the window and you're going to say, wow, one of the reasons that people fell in love with this house is because they have this fenced in yard and it's a quiet street. So the kids, it was really important to them that they had it. And for resale value, I'm kind of a freak about resale value. And, everybody really because if they don't have kids or whatever, so we want to point out resale value for that too. So use these stories and use them because one of the things, and I don't know when you get a new listing, remember what's the number one reason we do an interview, not the interview with the owner, the top 10, and the interview with the owner. Create an emotional buyer. Even ahead of that. Oh, preemptively inoculating, preemptively addressing issues. So the reason that objections. The reason that when I tell my listings this, they're nodding. Because it's we want to overcome an objection before it happens.
That's a good example of that, because it didn't have a backyard, it had a side yard, and she instinctively, Reshma, talked about the side yard, because the truth was, her kids always played in the side yard. Because there's kids on the street, right? You live on that street, and the kids can see each other and play with each other. And she was like, it worked when we had little kids. We'd sit on the porch, watch the little kids you know what I mean, in the front yard, in the side yard.
Yeah.
That ended up kind of selling the house. They liked that idea.
So
But it had no backyard.
So that's where, like at my house, the reason I started doing the top 10 30 years ago was because I was selling, and I tell this story purposely because there's a meaning behind everything that we do. Absolutely everything. There's not it's not fluff. There's meaning behind it. So this was, I lived on a busy street and my husband built a house right in my backyard. So I literally had a driveway running back and that was my backyard. And I knew it was going to be an objection. So my top 2 things was letting the kids ride their bikes like big boys and girls all the way to the school on sidewalks. overcome the objection of the kids not being able, now they know, a family lives here with kids, and one of their favorite things is that they get to ride on sidewalks around the area. Shows safety, and my number one thing was reaching across the fence at 10 o'clock at night if needed to, get a cup of sugar to bake brownies for my daughter, whatever so I told more of a story than a one-liner. It could just be I miss my neighbors and having such amazing neighbors. I like to create more emotion because you want them to, the reason I like when it's kind of longer is if I said, they're not picturing me reaching across the fence and getting a cup of sugar. They're picturing their life there. They're picturing their children riding their bikes. When you read anything and it relates to anything that's going to involve your family, you're going to picture your life in it. So this is little tools to get them to subliminally picture their own life in this house and to overcome objections. So you're going to read it. You're going to read it before the open house, and you're going to bring at least one or two of these out, and you're going to sell it. And if there's an objection, you're going to be able to overcome it because it's already in here. So if someone was like, oh, there's no backyard, they haven't seen this yet. They don't know you're plagiarizing from the, so you're going to say, oh, the sellers had thought that might be an objection first, but that's why they fenced in this yard, and the kids absolutely love it. If there's a big hill, sleigh riding. If there's woods, nature's playground. If there's an easement and there's woods behind it. And one of my biggest lines is, the kids are on computers all day, or when they're outside, they're on soccer fields. They're on soccer fields being told what to do. When we grew up, and remember when we grew up? When we were in the woods, building forts and making up games? The kids need that. That's, woods is, and then I go into the story of when my husband built a house and nobody could believe I wanted it, like 50% of my property was conservation and couldn't be touched. That was my favorite part about it, because it wasn't tempting to make it look perfect. And the kids, we had more fun in that house than any other house we built. So those kinds of stories. When you ask for feedback, so thank you so much for coming, Krista. It's nice to meet you.
Thanks for showing me around, Julie.
Oh no, this is now, I'm back at the beginning.
Oh, back at the beginning.
Hey, I'm Julie Vanderblue. Nice to meet you. Oh, and who's this? What's your name?
Jake.
Oh, hi, Jake. Oh, you're gonna be the best electrician ever.
I'll let you know, like,
So before we get started, I'm just gonna tell you a few things about the property, blah, 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 blah. I'll be here to answer questions, and then before you go, I'm just gonna ask you to sign in, and I'd like to get some feedback. It's really important for me to share feedback with the sellers. That's part of my job. Great, all right. So just wanna point out a few things. This view is blah, 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 blah. So I start walking. And then I'm either with her the whole time or I'm not, but I've asked her and she's agreed to sign in. She's agreed. Do you want me to do it? Oh, I'll do it right now. Oh, no, it's okay. I'd like to get it at the end anyway, because I'm going to ask you for some feedback. Okay. If they want to sign in, try not to let them. The problem is when it's really, really busy, which is why we should have 2 people at open houses. Where were we? Oh, have a real discussion, listen to the responses. So tell me, what do you think of the property?
The kitchen needs some work.
Yeah.
But I love the upstairs redone bathrooms, and there seems to be plenty of bedrooms. The yard is flat. I was looking for that.
Yeah.
Is there room for a pool?
There is. There is. I told you in the beginning. You didn't
I didn't
listen.
listen. I was so starstruck by the house when I walked in. Give me a break.
Wow, that was good. That's what we want to say.
Of course I would never say that. But yeah, the kitchen, the good thing about a kitchen that needs a little bit of work is you get to create exactly what you want. And like, if this was a kitchen that was done, but you didn't like it, you don't want to pull out new work. It's harder, because we struggled with whether or not we should have them redo the kitchen. But we don't want to throw good money after bad and have someone want to pull it out. So we priced it so that you'd have enough time. And we have something called AIR, All Inclusive Real Estate. So that is 30, I've been doing this 30 years, or you can say, you know, the Vanderbilt team has been together 30 years. So we've created this incredible network of the best of the best. So if you wanted to get a quote before making an offer, if this is the right house, I'm happy to have my guy come and walk through it with you so you have an idea of what a kitchen would cost. So, great. And then as they're filling this out, if they're just filling it out, I don't usually interrupt them. But lots of times they hesitate. And don't forget, when you have the sign-in sheet, fill in the top, because you don't want them filling that in. In fact, if you were really good, you could print your own with it already done. The date or just the open house, just the address. So that it looks a little less templated. Anytime something's templated, it looks, anyway, I won't even get there. So they're filling this out and I say, so the reason we ask for all this information is with the low inventory and high demand, a lot of our properties never make it to the market. And the more we know about what you're looking for, the more likely I can just text you an address from time to time to have you drive by it because it's not on the market yet. Parks them up. Oh, really? Yeah. You don't have to sign it. They don't have to sign anything. This is the earn your trust part. And see, because most agents don't do anything like this. So that's when they'll start filling this out. So I'll say again, so one of the reasons we ask, the reason we ask so many questions is because of high inventory and low demand, switch that. High demand and low inventory. And I've made that mistake, and they'll laugh and they're like, a lot of the properties that we trade never make it to the market. And we call it our matchmaking program. So the more we know about our clients, we go out there and look for properties for you. So that's why we do this. And by that time, you hopefully you build up a rapport that they're going to not have a problem filling it out. After, listen to the responses. Actually, like heavily listen, because I don't always listen. I'm not a very good listener and I'm learning, but I might be thinking that someone might be walking in the room and you guys have seen me not listen to you, and it's horrifying, and I'm working on it. So don't do what I do what I say. But I'm getting better at it. So if you have have a real discussion, like we had a real discussion. It's not, oh yeah, it's okay, well, thanks so much for your feedback. Yeah, good to see you. Like, then they don't feel heard. You want to respond to their feedback. And you don't always want to find the solution because it looks like, because we are solutionists. That's who we are. We find the solution. But if someone's like, oh, the bedrooms are just too small. Like Alan Dalton teaches, well, if the bedrooms weren't too small, would you make an offer on this house? Would you ever say that in a million years? So, but his point is, you're trying to uncover what, like that's selling. I don't feel like selling. I feel like educating, but you want to sell at the same time. So if someone says the bedrooms are too small, I would say, yeah, that's important to you. And some people find that because the bedrooms are like, I would say, the bedrooms are too small.
Bedrooms are too small.
I totally understand. In fact, the sellers, I think, were a little bit nervous about the bedrooms being small, but they wanted time with the family, so the togetherness time, and that's why they're smaller, because there's that big open space that they can hang with. So if the bigger bedrooms are important to you, I totally understand. And you know, I think it's Valerie that's getting a property in this area, and I know the bedrooms are bigger, and I can send you that one, because it seems like bigger bedrooms are important to you. So address their concern. Don't try to, someone said to, I'll never forget this. I got a call from someone, and they said the agent at the house said they didn't like that it was on a busy street. And they said, well, you're not living outside, you're living in the house. Oh. And they were so offended, they actually called me. So I understand what she was doing. She was selling a house. She was trying to get the house sold. But it will backfire if you feel like if they think you're trying to sell them something they don't want. And a house is not something you do that. 99% of other products that were on Amazon pushing a button, yeah, that's what they do, not with a house. So after you listen, also cross-marketing. Have the blue bulletin, because the blue bulletin will have other properties, know what's in it. So, and that's why having properties, other listings, and I would say, oh, you know what? 2 small bedrooms? Actually, we're not doing one. We don't have anything in here, but Smith Street. I'll take this piece of paper that I'm gonna give to them. I'll write an address because I have my little sheets and I know the inventory. And I'll write, again, statistically proven that if you write it down, they will keep it longer. Does anybody experience that? If I have a card that someone gave me and it has writing on it, I don't throw it away for some reason. It is a statistical proven fact. So write on things. I will take this and I'll write a map or something on anything. On my card, I'll write on, that's why one of my cards, you'll notice, one side is shiny, one side is flat. So that I can write on the flat side. So you're gonna say, oh, drive by this one, you can give them a map, whatever it is, but you want to give them something you want to talk about other properties. Bring out the blue bulletin.
If they have cameras, would you talk about the properties?
Yes. I would. But I do say to my clients, and it's only if I've gotten to the point where they don't want this house. Like there's no way they're buying this house. If there's even a consideration that they're buying the house, I don't even bring this up. Unless they're kind of like just starting their search and whatever. But if they're interested, if they come in and they're really interested in seeing the property, it's all about the property. But as we're walking through and I'm doing the whole, oh, they love this, feedback is when you start to talk about other properties. And it's only if they don't like the house. And it's a really good question. But they're not supposed to have audio. You know that?
Yes.
So
there's no cameras that you can buy off, internet.
that don't have audio. Yeah.
Right, as a consumer, right?
Yeah.
There's professional cameras.
Yeah, yeah. So, but it's a really valid question. So her question, I don't know if you heard her, if they're asking about other houses, I mean, if there's cameras, do you think that you should mention other houses? And I do only when I know that they're not gonna buy that house.
Yeah, I thought about that too. And I'm never clear how much they're listening to me or not listening to me. I just assume they're always listening, but like, can we do that? I mean, we're supposed to be trying to sell their house, but at the same time.
So this is how I overcome it when I sit down with a listing too. And some of you have heard me say that when I'm at a presentation and we're telling them what we do, we cross-market other properties. So your house is going to be talked about at our other properties. So every time we have an open house, we meet, on average, we have maybe 14 open houses every single week. You're going to be top of mind with the agents that are meeting people. So you're going to be cross-marketed. And if somebody is here that's not buying this house, we'll be cross-marketing other properties as well. Because that's how you're cross-marketing. So I don't even go into them necessarily. I mean, I have before, but I just tell them about cross-marketing the properties. And if they hear me cross-marketing other properties and they call me out on it, I would just say, they weren't buying this house. And just like I cross-market your property in all of my other properties, I have to do the same for them. But only if they're not buying this house. And you're in front of a lot more people. If it was just, you're being exposed. If I wasn't doing that, you wouldn't have the exposure in all the other properties. So if you want to opt out, you can, but then you won't be cross-marketed. And I don't think that they would. But it's only happened to me once where someone called me out. And I think it's because it was the friend that came in. And I was telling them about another property. But it's a really good question. Also brochures, so we have the divisions. All right, so say something like, you're just walking in and say, actually, I'm honestly just getting ideas for my house. The reason that Mover and Improve was started was because too many people were coming in and saying, or enough people were coming in and saying that they were thinking of a renovation, so Mover and Improve was started. Most people know Mover and Improve, but I'll do it quickly. Oh, you're just getting ideas for a renovation? Where do you live?
I live over in Stratfield area.
Okay, cool. A major renovation?
Probably redo my master bathroom and possibly the kitchen.
Okay, pretty big.
Yeah.
So you're not alone, and no pressure here, but I want to introduce you to Move or Improve. It really helps a lot of sellers and a lot of people, homeowners in your position, get confidence with the choices that they make. So there's no cost to you. This is to create relationships. And basically I'd come to your property, tell you what your house is worth today, help you review the renovation that you're going to do, and give you a price of what you think it will be. And then what the price of the house should be when you're done. And then you can make a decision, because it's really about the area. If you're you're on Inwood, you just told me, so you could do anything to your house. You could renovate, you're gonna get your money back. If you don't want to live through a renovation, but I could also sell the fact that you could do anything and let someone else do the renovation to peak the price. So it just depends on how much you love being where you are. But either way, it gives you, like, if you found a house in Inwood area that you really loved, would you ever consider moving, or are you just, I love where I am?
Consider moving.
So then this is worth it for you just to see, because if you can avoid a renovation and the high costs now, and with everything that's going on, it takes longer. If you could find what you're looking to spend, so it's 500 now, 200 renovation, 700, you could probably sell it for 850. You'd be in for 700. What can you buy for 700?
Right.
And you guys get the thing. I'm not like saying it as eloquently as I could be, because I'm trying to rush, but you understand what I'm saying, right? I would practice that, because this is a really good one. This is a really, really good one, because everybody can relate to it. Most people that have a house. And just, it's work though. So you have to go and you have to do it, and you might not want to. There's all of these, renter to buyer, urban to suburban. If anybody comes in and they're from New York, just mention that you have it. You don't even have to give them this, but you can. I would. Say we have an urban to suburban division, and basically you don't know what you don't know. And when I moved here from New York, or when I didn't move here from New York, but the reason we have an urban to suburban division is when Valerie moved here from New York, I realized that she realized that there were so many things, being a city mouse, she didn't know as a country mouse. And all the things that she has to do, she wasn't aware of. So we're educating the consumer so that they're aware of what they have to do. First time home buyers, new construction is a big one. I'm not going to get senior lifestyles is a really big one. And we're going to have a divisions talk. But this is such an important part of creating relationships that isn't being utilized effectively. So we'll probably have just a whole divisions meeting. And remember, these divisions, like, it doesn't have to be anything but this. Nomenclature, if something doesn't have a name, it doesn't exist in people's minds. So nomenclature is so important. So all this is a name to one specific thing that we do with all the things we do. So I feel like people don't, like, if they bring this up, then they have to like follow through with some kind of big thing on the seniors division. No, it's just to get the conversation started. And to say, because the seniors is a whole nother one that I know we're getting off track, but I want to talk about it because these are things that need to be talked about at the open house. All right, getting them to sign in. Wait until after they view the home, explain the team concept. Get the information by offering them something of value. Team listings, network divisions, off-market properties through our matchmaking program listings explain why you meet your criteria. We talked about that already. So the team concept is, so the reason we're asking is actually we're a very synergistic team. And unlike most teams, which are just like little mini offices competing, we're all working together, and we meet every Monday and every Friday, and we talk about who we're looking for. So if I go in and say I have a buyer looking for $1 million house in Greenfield Hill, I've got all those eyes looking for it, off-market opportunities. So that's how we are able to bring you, like, every agent wants to do this, but there's one of them. And we have a combination of 35 agents all putting our knowledge in together, looking for off-market properties for you. So you're much more likely, our matchmaking program works. So those kinds of conversations. Put the sign-in sheet in the kitchen or the main room of the house, not in the same entrance, in the main entrance. If they say they have an agent, ask them who it is. And as if they say they do. And if they fill this out,
I don't ask them, but unless they fill that out, then I
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to know because I'm going to contact them unless they put a name there.
yes, so once they fill it out, but if they say, oh, I have an agent, like some of them will. And if they say it, I usually ask. Because if they say it, it's probably real. Or they're just trying to get you to shut up, and then you'll be able to, and if they say, oh, well, we have an agent, I'm like, oh, who it is, because I can send the information. And they usually, it doesn't happen very much if they do that, but if they do, like when they fill this out, I'll even wait until they fill it out. And if they don't put a name, it's true, it's a tough one. Like, I don't always ask them, and sometimes I do. Like, if they really seem to like the house, they'll usually put their agent name. But if they don't, I'll say, do you want me to email, I'm gonna email you this brochure and a link to the video. Because it's just better to see this online, because you can look at, and you can share it with people. So I'm happy to send it to you. Do you want me to send it to you? And I ask permission to send it to them, because they said that they have an agent, independent. And I might say, or do you want me to send it to your agent? And if they say, oh, you can just send it to me, then I know that they probably will not. And if they say, no, I'll tell so-and-so. Because if they didn't put a name and they told me to send it to you, I feel like I can do that, even though they said that they have an agent. So I'm emailing. If they say they have an agent and they put the name down, you don't email them. But you email the agent, or you call the agent and you say, so that's the other thing, call the agent and say, hey, Krista, Julie Vanderpool here.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, how's it going? Congrats on 123 Smith Street.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was a good one. I just want to let you know that the Smiths, who live on Smith, stop by the open house today.
Oh, cool. Did they like the house?
I think so. I think they really liked it. I mean, I gave them all the information. So I just thought maybe you could follow up with them
Sure.
and let me know. They seem to like it. I would love to work with you.
That'd be an easy one.
Yeah. All right. Cool. And we're offering 0.05% commission.
If I
Okay. Next.
I have a question. So if you're covering an open house for the listing agent, is it the listing agent is having that conversation with the other agent, with the buyer's agent?
Yes.
Okay.
The listing agent.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if you're covering the open house and a buyer comes in and they want to buy the house, you can represent the buyer.
Right. No,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you call the agent to get feedback.
Right, but I'm also just saying, if someone comes in and is interested in the
Right.
house, you don't necessarily have to, like, she doesn't have to call me and say, someone's interested in buying the house.
Right. No.
She can represent them.
Right.
Yeah.
You were doing the open house.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if they say they're represented,
Right. That conversation.
you wouldn't
between
be
the
calling
listing
that.
agent.
Lorelei would be calling the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
So-
that has come up on the team about whose buyer that will be. You know what I mean?
Well,
And And for me, if you're doing my open house,
That's the
yours.
reason people do open houses.
Right.
I think so, I think it's less about the, I mean, if anybody thinks that they deserve the buyer from someone who's doing the open house, is that, I think it's more of, if she has if they're gonna sell something. So there's a couple of agents that feel that, and I'd love some feedback, but let's get through this and then we'll get through.
Sorry,
Because
tangent.
have two people, I would suggest having two people at the open house. And there's newer agents now that can use the experience anyway, so bringing some newer agents. The problem that people don't want to share the buyers necessarily. So if there are people that, but I would have two people. I think you should have two people and then just have the conversation with the agent that you're bringing in and how it's gonna work with the buyers. And you could do a 50-50, you could do a referral, you could do whatever you want, but don't let I don't wanna say the word greed, your desire to be getting both sides or getting more buyers get in the way of what's best for the property. Okay? Make a plan with the sign-in sheet. I don't even know what that means. I think that means know exactly what you're gonna do with that information. Like have your plan of it goes in the follow-up box, you're gonna sign them up for, because the follow-up is where it's really falling apart too. Open houses, we get a tremendous amount of people, and we're talking about ISAs now, which will help you follow up with your cooler leads. But they're real buyers or they wouldn't be freaking taking their Sunday to go to an open house. So you gotta stay on them. Although the open houses are crazy, don't rush them, give them time they deserve. Buying a house is a huge decision. Hey, Brian.
Hi,
Hi.
how's everybody?
Good.
Thanks for you. Welcome back.
Offer to have them come back for a private viewing when they're leaving, if they really liked it. I'd say, would you like to come back and see it in person? Maybe even at 4:30 if you want. I can call the homeowners. They love that. Really? You do that for me? They usually don't do it, but the fact that you offered is big. Also, if someone's coming to an open house and it's 4 o'clock and you're locking the door, what do? You want in, right?
I text my client, I say, hey, don't come back yet.
Yeah. You don't say, oh, I've had that happen. So.
I'll be back next week.
He came back next week. Maybe a little bit before.
And if you really do have to be somewhere, you can even say, oh my God, I'm sorry, this just ended and I have to be somewhere. I'm gonna call one of my agents to see if they can show you, or do you want to schedule one for tomorrow or another day? I really want to get you in. Oh, it's okay. No, we don't have to go right now. Well, we'd really like to go now. Brandy, can you hook it over from Stratford Dungeon? Well, you know what I'm saying. Or Valerie, you're around the corner. Can you come? But we do that for each other, and that's what makes us different. And we love your cat. She doesn't even have a cat. Have Grace print the QR code and giveaway cards. Oh, that's this. So here's your QR code. And this is not the right one, but this is the good example of one. The new ones we have, the house and the town. So it's the QR code to the town or to the website and the brochure.
People love that, by
Yeah.
the way. 'Cause
So-
when I mentioned that they can share with their friends and family, they're like, oh, great.
Yes. And I want them to be put on the actual brochure, so when they go home, they can do it as well. And it is right here. We started doing it again. So,
One's to the town, I thought it was just a Vanderblue and one was to the
well,
property.
yes, there's one that's to the town itself, and it's just welcome to Westport, so.
But that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so this is the QR code to the, and we want to print out a lot of them and they can go. And also if someone, if you had 20 of these and they're all in here and they're shoved in. And they don't want to take this, or they're kind of interested, but they're not really interested, or you only have a few of these and you don't think they're worthy of them, give them this. So it's good.
There's this small QR code in there.
In the folder.
Yeah, the little ones. They're
The
not
folder
there.
to the left of you.
On the top, right there.
This one. Yes, this is what I'm talking about.
It also has our phone number on it, which is nice.
Yes, your own phone number, QR code, and they're right here. So you can do it either way. This one is the same thing, it's just bigger, but it should have two. And then there is another one that says, which I think we should be doing, and I have a bunch of these that has the town. Oh, you're not familiar with Fairfield? Here's a QR code. And our videos are really good. Like the long ones are really long, but we have mostly the short ones now, the shorter ones with Alex.
You want a Grammy, or no, an
You want
Emmy?
an Emmy?
An Emmy.
I know. He won an Emmy and we don't want him to show our videos. So we're gonna say, by award-winning Alex.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
use all these tools and take a look at them because we're not using them as much as we used to. Okay,
People go crazy over our brochures, I have to say.
yeah. And people are totally copying them. Oh my God, Tom calls me every morning 300 times.
You called them, but. They need apples, I'm gonna go back to you, but they call
It
people all the
listens to
time.
you and
Well, that too.
and
They all do that.
but it's even worse because it hears you talking when I'm trying to talk and it sends people.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Have Grace print QR codes. What are some other adjustments you make? Adjustments? What are some other things you do? Well, let's wrap it up and then we're gonna talk a little bit more. Turn off all lights. If you move something, put it back. My story is I put something in the oven. Because I didn't want it out. When they preheated their oven, I was screwed.
Lessons learned.
What'd you do? What happened? Like, what was it?
Yeah, what was it?
They were so nice about it. It was like,
Did you start a fire? Had to move or improve?
It was like a platter that had some things on it.
Yeah.
And one of the things, it was like a spatula or like something.
melted
all of the oven.
It didn't get bad, but she was really nice. When I had another guy call me pissed off because they couldn't find their paper towel roll. You know, if you're gonna move things, you might, I'm like, it's right under the sink. Like the number one place you would put them is right there. So try to remember to put it back.
I just did that a month ago, and Melissa was listening in Danbury. All the drawers were completely full, and I had nowhere to put the material, like the binder, and all of the, like, paperwork, everything I put in the oven, because it looked like there was, nobody used it, it was like immaculate. So I'm like, I'll just put it in there, and it's a perfect read.
Oh
I just leave it on the counter now.
So we're not getting the binder back?
We're not getting the binder back.
Right here.
The brochures can handle, 350 though.
Fire.
Honestly, like every single drawer was like stuffed, and every cabinet was like, it was the only place to put it.
Go leave it on my countertop. On top of the fridge.
It honestly didn't look like they ever touched it.
In the fridge is better than in an oven.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at
Yeah, next time. I've learned.
So, yes, you have the same brain.
Yeah.
Make sure you lock all the doors that you locked. If you unlocked it, lock it. Do not lock, and a lot of realtors do this, do not lock the garage coming into the house, ever. Even if you unlocked it, or I guess if you unlocked it, you can lock it. But I would even
I
call
never
the
remember, because
agent.
sometimes the client opens your, and you're like, is
Exactly.
this locked or unlocked? And I'm like,
I would even text if I was unsure, I wouldn't leave it open. Because they'd have to get into the garage. So we locked people out of their own home. So you can't do that. Leave something for the homeowners. we have these cute little candles that you can buy in bulk. You can leave a candle, you can leave cookies, you can have a little cook.
You bought more of these? Didn't you have like 1,000 in your garage?
Some of them melted, I had to throw.
You had a lot.
Oh, good. But this is also when you want to listen to people, you're doing this with us today, and like, give them something. But the other thing is, let's say you have cookies out for people that are packaged, and you have their little thing that says, Brian's the bomb of all, like, you want to do something clever, you know, your Halloween treat or whatever it is. And it's got your information and it's tied to this, and it's so cute. I don't leave, if I'm giving them to the homeowner, to the buyers that are coming in, I put them in a cabinet. And I don't have them out. Even if I give them to every single person, I don't take them out. When they're leaving, I'll say, oh, wait a second. Go in, get it for them, hand it to them. And say, I just want to thank you for your time. It means a lot to me. I want to get exposure. And if you have anybody who's interested, or if you have whatever, like, if you know anybody who's selling blah, or whatever it is, give them something. You don't have to give every single person, but if you connect with someone, do it. And if you are giving it to every person, what feels better to you? 20 of these on a table and you get one, or somebody coming and handing you a present? There's a huge difference there. So I wouldn't put all your stuff out. I would make them feel special. Okay? And I would bring something for the homeowner, whether it's your listing or not, or just talk to the listing agent and say, hey, Venmo me $10 and I'll pick up flowers for you. You know, and then you could go and get flowers and bring them. Or, but for the stuff that you're giving out, that's on you. If you want to stop and get flowers while you're doing it, ask the agent if they want to. Or if you all, you know, if they've done nice things for you, just pick it up for them, you know. But having something, and don't get carnations. We all know that. As soon as you turn off that last light, you're texting the realtor or the homeowner that you're finishing up. And you're taking this note, there's a little thank you notes. We have them in the book. It's a thank you note. If it's your house, you know exactly where they are. If it's not your house, you know exactly where they are. It's in the book. You take one out. You make sure you write it the right way, because I always write it upside down and I have to do it another way. And you just write, thank you so much. The open house was great. Lorelei will be in touch. It's your listing. Hi, Joe and Sally. Thank you so much for letting me do the open house today. There were 7 groups through. I'll reach out with feedback. But I would put how many people came in this if it's my own listing. If it's not your listing, like really, if this was like strategically done like a real business, hey Lorelei, I'm leaving now, or I'd say to her before I even go, do you want me to write the note with how many people come? I don't know, let me know how many there are there. Hey Laura, I'm leaving now, because I gotta tell her anyway. I gotta tell her I'm leaving. I'm leaving now. I'm gonna write the note. There were 10 people. Do you want me to add that? There were 10 people. You could do that. Or she'll just say, you know what, just say thank you and I'll give the feedback. But give the feedback immediately, and don't forget, as a listing agent, give the feedback to your seller no matter where you are. If it's 4:30 and they haven't heard from you, they're pissed. They want to know, they were out of their house for 4 days, and that is the biggest complaint I've gotten from other people who call me complaining about our own agents. That and them being late. It's 3:59, Julie, and they're not here. I thought you were coming at 4. I thought we should be there 10 minutes. And if you come in like this, oh my God, the signs are such a pain. Well, don't you think you should have planned the signs? Because that's what I've heard a couple times from homeowners saying, I said, yeah, they might get traffic. Well, no, they said that they had to put the signs out. And this is, you know, so you want them in the best mood possible at all times. So you want to do all these little things. I know I'm being redundant, but people still, you forget. It's really important stuff. And we are differentiating ourselves from everybody else. So all these little tiny nuances added up that's why we're That's why we sell more homes than any other team in all of their football. The thank you, oh God, we're getting. So the thank you, send a thank you. So my suggestion is create your thank you before you do the open house. And we'll show you how to do that. So you send the thank you card, you send out your thank you. How many people truthfully really send these out?
I did one time.
So mean.
I love the truth.
If you're not gonna do it, I would say bring in your sign-in sheet. You need.
I don't,
You need an assistant.
I don't have, I do, but, I don't have them even put the address. I just say, put your name and your email address and your phone number,
Why?
Oh,
because it's long.
You mean if they hesitate?
Yeah.
Only if they hesitate.
Only if they hesitate, but like, I would say like most of my sheets don't have their addresses.
But can I say something?
I know it's important to do it, but most of
What's they're selling a house
Right,
that they're buying.
right.
That's more important than them buying this house because this is a listing.
Yeah.
This is a potential listing. That's the most important line actually.
Right.
Because then,
I mean, if they're renting or staying with mom or something,
Yeah.
but yeah.
like, so hopefully by the time, and you're saying low inventory matchmaking program, in fact, if you're thinking of selling, I'd love to come see your home. My problem is then I don't follow up because by the time I get home, I forgot that I'm supposed to go to their house. So I need someone helping me too. So I get it.
You've got 40 assistants.
It's true. Hey, you want this new listing? Call them. But getting that and saying something like, while you're walking through, when you're saying supply and demand, we're matchmaking. In fact, that's one of the reasons we ask your address, because if you're even remotely considering selling, you might have a buyer willing to pay for you before you can put it on. You know? So that's a good way to get the address, actually. So thank you.
That's a good way to get listings, because that's how I got listings.
Yeah.
From the sign-in, yeah.
Yeah, because every single person that's signing in is either renting, living with mom and dad, or selling a home. If they're renting, then that's a great buyer because they have nothing to sell. If they're living with mom and dad, that's a great buyer because they don't have to sell. If they're selling, that's better for us. So, and say, like, try to work the whole inventory and practice on each other. Get it down, because once you start saying it, it's like, this wasn't in my brain until I started saying it, and now I've said it so many times that people say, oh, I wish you could come and say it for me, but it's only because I've said it so many times. I'm not any smarter at all, it's just practice. Send out the thank you card, prioritize your calls, have follow-up calls done by Wednesday, call unrepresented, and call realtors of represented. So remember, you're calling the realtors. It absolutely enhances. Even if someone hates the house, I would call, hey Brandy, it's Julie. Hi Julie. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So I just wanted to tell you, and I might talk a little bit more, but I just wanted to let you know that the Smiths out by High Street, 819 High Street.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Keep in contact.
Honestly, I don't even know that they like it. I don't think they're gonna buy this house. But just in case they, you know, if you haven't heard from them in a while, I wanted to let you know they're starting to search again. They're out and about.
Oh, great. Thank you.
How nice is that? I just reminded her that she has a buyer that she should talk to because they're out. It's just a nice, thoughtful thing to do. And that's why you have good relationships with people, because you're thinking about how to help them versus what you can get from them. The old go giver. So,
Can I say one quick thing?
yeah,
So at the Brokers Open, there were 26 agents who came to the Brokers Open. That's by far, I've never had that many agents come. So I realized, like, I need to go to more Brokers Opens because those relationships are everything. I learned about 2 new things coming on, one off market. That's like the most critical thing. And it's the same 20 or 30 agents that are doing all the business in Fairfield.
100% true.
So I was like, oh my God, note to self, just go to these Brokers Opens. Instead of, you know,
100%.
a lot of these agents are just sending their clients to the open houses. Like, I have no showing requests on Ross Hill, but I know it's gonna be a packed weekend. It's just so bizarre. I don't know what's up with the market.
Yeah, that's.
No showing requests on any of my listings lately. Very few, packed
Open's great. I go
Yeah,
all the time.
I
like that all the
100%, especially if you're new, you should go to every, you should go to as many as you can fit in every town that you've worked in. The relationships are incredibly important and the information you want. So thank you for sharing that. Put in FUB immediately. Mark open house, set them up for a search. Just set them up for a search in that price point. That's why you're getting this information. And I know a lot of people don't do this, but you just set them up for a weekly search then. Or just go home and in your thank you note, I'll put, here are a few other properties that made me think of you because you like this one. So it doesn't look like I'm just shoving that down their throat. Now nobody's watching. No, now I'm thinking of them as a buyer. What's in their best interest? Okay. Oh, text your e-card. I do that a lot. And I do that all the time just to get people's phone number. Like, do you have a card? Oh, let me get your phone number because I'll text you my e-card. Now I have their phone number. If I hand them that card, I get nothing. And no, I'm relying on them calling me back. If I can just text, I just click on this, I copy, I paste, and I text. Now I have their phone number, but just don't forget to put their name there because you'll forget and then you'll have all of these random numbers. Set them up for auto email and then the creative video. Hey, Julie here. Thank you so much for coming to 123 Smith Street. It was awesome to see you. I hope you had a great time at the basketball game. Go Knicks. And below is the information as promised. And I'm going to call you this week. So and have a great day. And then that's a video that goes embedded into the follow-up box or through BombBomb. And now they have your face and people are like, Colleen can tell the story that I used that. He didn't even, he canceled his other appointments when I sent him a pre-video from BombBomb before we went to the listing, which I sent to the, I always do it. I'm gonna send it to people because do you guys send anything before you go to a listing presentation? Like, and so that's the next training. Okay, here's one. This is not my favorite, but I'm gonna show it. Hi, Julie Vanderblue here. Just wanted to say thank you so much for coming to the open house at 155 Pembroke. I'm sending you some information below about the property and I would love to chat with you. Have a wonderful day and thanks again for coming. I look good that day. I use that as an example of what to say to myself.
We did that like 4 times, so.
Thank you for stopping by, and then you've got a link to the online brochure. You've got a link to the whatever. I don't know how to get out of
You
this.
have to move that down.
Okay. So, you get the gist. Must include the link to the property. Just remember, does everybody know how to text? This should be on your phone, and actually we have to go, Brandon. This should be on your phone. It's Vanderblue. And it opens right to the search page. This should be on your phone at all times because then you can type in whatever address you want. And I'll do 1018 high, I don't even know if it's. And you also, by the way, if you want to send a sold or a pending or a CTS, just go down, scroll down a little bit and push sold. So if you have a property that has sold before and it's coming soon, or you want to send the old one, you can still send it from Vanderbilt. Thank you. Okay, sold, pending, whatever. All right, personalized email, send it on Sunday night if you can. Handwritten card, finding the address. So even if you don't ask for their address, even though you should, you want to know their address because they're probably going to sell. So you want to Google them, Spokio them, whatever it is to find them. Put something personal about them in it. Put every unrepresented visitor in the pub, tag them appropriately. Don't forget to pad, put it in hot prospect and set your tasks to follow up boss. I don't know what this is. Strong interest in the house, promise something to deliver. I don't know what this is. Discuss selling a house. Oh, these are any one of these, call in. You can call and talk about any of these things. And I'm gonna send you this PowerPoint so that if your agent, you can take a look at it if you want to. Thank you for your attention. We're going on a presentation, so we can't, and I do want to have, how do you guys feel about, how we have the listing guide now? Are you guys okay with calling it the marketing agent guide instead of the listing agent guide? Nomenclature is important, and I've heard so many times, listings, anybody can list a home, we market homes. Anybody can put your home on MLS. We're a marketing company. So I wanted to just follow through with that with all of our paperwork. So marketing guide with you guys are okay with that, right? It's not a big deal, but, okay.
The other thing to make sure is just follow up, because that's whether or not they buy or sell, it could be a year later, and we need to follow up with them. That's where I've gotten a lot of my leads.
Yes, 100%. Like open houses are probably the best. That's how I feel my business. Because every single person is taking the time to, we've met them, we've had face-to-face contact with them. And they wouldn't have gone to an open house if they weren't interested in real estate. Yeah, just like they wouldn't click on, like realtor.com lead, they wouldn't click on it, but you have to pay 25%. Open house, it's all yours. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I go to there, bring you there. So that's your number.
Yes, so then I'm.
Julie. I'm going to say when you.
What the hell do you have in there?
Candles. She's got 50 candles.
Don't put those in the oven.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone, whoever's still on.
Yeah, he's like, and I do it all the time, because then every time you're sharing a property, it's branded to you. Yeah.
Anybody
When
still?
you get that,
Jackie.
yeah, it's gonna look like.
Jackie left her.
Yeah.